visit you and to talk about Bill Keith. Nice T-shirt, by the way.
Thanks for coming all this way, Jerry.
Well, it's really worth it. I'm very excited because we met once before in 1984. I was only 17.
I know, I was only 14 plus.
I was so excited because I brought Bill to your concert in Brussels, and I was so proud that I brought my two heroes together.
That was such a surprise because I already played 2 concerts in another country that day. I think that's my record, 3 gigs in 2 countries in one day.
Well, I'm glad you came to Belgium as well.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you also had played in Brussels some years before, I believe.
I think I played there with Stéphane Grappelli.
Yeah, at the Dropouts, the
that
jazz.
was, when
jazz.
was that? 80 something. Yeah.
Early 80s. Mike Marshall told me he was so anxious because Toots was sitting there.
I know, I was very nervous. He was sitting right in front of me.
Another hero.
Yeah.
So the goal is to talk about Bill Keith, my banjo hero and old friend.
My
and old
banjo
friend of yours.
hero too,
I've made this website about his style, and I think it's really important because, well, a lot of banjo players know Bill Keith and they know the melodic style, but the melodic style, to me, it's just the tip of the iceberg of what Bill developed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only that part that is in books and so on. And so I wanted to talk and explain the rest of the iceberg, the hidden part.
Yeah,
that's the goal of my website.
He even played it like a plectrum banjo when he's with Kweskin Jug Band.
Yes.
He took off that 5th string, or that's kind of part of it too, because his knowledge of chords and voicings,
That's a little part of the website. Melody playing on the banjo, which he liked to do. So that's the goal of the website, and to share this knowledge, and I would love to hear you talk about Bill. Maybe first, how did you meet?
Well, I met Bill, I think it probably was in 1962. And my friend Fred Weiss, there were 3 young kids in Passaic, New Jersey who fell in love with bluegrass music, and we all wanted to be banjo players. Yeah, because the first Scruggs style banjo I ever heard was on a record called Mountain Music Bluegrass Style, and produced by Mike Seeger. It was on Folkways, and one of the 3 kids, a guy named Jack Scott, we were in Passaic, New Jersey, and we'd take the bus into New York to a big record store called Sam Goody's, and they had like Folkways records. They had, because you could hardly find bluegrass anywhere. And he came home with this record, and he said, "You got to hear this." We had heard about bluegrass, but we never heard it. And I don't know if you're familiar with that record, but he didn't play the first track. He played a White House Blues by Earl Taylor and the Stony Mountain Boys. And the banjo player was Walter Hensley. And it was very fast. I didn't realize that he was copying Bill Monroe's recording, but Walter Hensley, when we heard that banjo playing, it changed my life. And we all wanted to be banjo players. And Jack Scott actually got a banjo. I think he got like a K banjo. But Fred and I found a Gibson Mastertone tenor in a music store in Passaic. for $75. And we had heard about a man named Tom Morgan, who worked on instruments, and he was in Hyattsville, Maryland, or maybe Silver Spring, Maryland. And we heard that he built necks. So Fred ordered a banjo neck. I guess maybe he sent the banjo down there. And Tom Morgan was delivering it, and Bill Keith was with him when he delivered. And Fred said, "You got to come over, you know, getting this banjo." And Bill Keith was in the Air Force Reserves. He was in an Air Force uniform the day I met him. And he was, you know, we became friends pretty much almost right away. And it went on from there. And I think at that time he was hanging out with Tom Morgan because they were both playing with Red Allen. He played with Red Allen.
I think they lived.
Before.
Didn't they share a room at the time?
Well, maybe on the road. I mean, Tom Morgan had a house and a wife and kids, and maybe I used to stay at his house when I'd go down there because I started, you know, I was a bluegrass fanatic, and you couldn't really hear it in New Jersey or New York very much, or hardly at all. But I used to take the Trailways bus to the Washington, Baltimore area. There was a lot more bluegrass, you know, and that's where I met Red Allen and Frank Wakefield. But by that time, I think Bill Keith got the job with Bill Monroe, and you probably know the story about that.
Yeah, with Bill McCourey.
Yeah, they both showed up. Apparently, they both walked into I think it was the Two-Lane Hotel from opposite ends carrying banjos, you know. And Bill auditioned them. He had them each go to a hotel room that he had, and he had them each play banjo and guitar.
Okay,
I guess he offered Bill. I saw the first gig that Del McCourey played with Bill Monroe. It was at NYU in New York, where I was a student, and he played banjo. Jack Cook played guitar, and Kenny Baker and Bessie Lee, and that's when I met Del. And and Bill apparently offered him the job. That was, I think, in February of 1963. But he didn't take it right. He didn't go to Nashville right away. And I guess Bill offered the job to Bill Keith too. And they showed up the exact same day, both expecting to be playing banjo. And you know, of course, when Bill Monroe auditioned Del McCourey and Bill Keith playing guitar and singing, you know, Del McCourey got that job. And I mean, he told me that at that time, you know, he was kind of disappointed because he was a banjo player, but it started his whole career as a singer.
Gave him a very nice career.
Yeah, I mean, and same for Bill Keith, really. And Bill Monroe was real excited about Bill's playing. You know, he got him right in the studio right away. And Del wasn't on that session because he wasn't in the union yet. Back in those days, you had to be in the musicians union to play on a record.
I heard this recording with Bill, Jim Rooney, and yourself. I don't remember the year. Was it maybe 65 or something?
A live recording?
Yeah.
Oh, you have it?
Somewhere on my computer. Yes.
Wow, I'd love to.
You don't have that?
No.
Oh.
I know I played some gigs with them. Was it in Club 47 or maybe Gertie's Folk City?
I think the last thing.
Gertie's.
Yeah. I'll look it up. I'll
Yeah,
send it to you.
I'd love to hear that.
Oh, I'm surprised.
never-
I have something you don't have.
No, I didn't record it, I don't think. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and then Bill disappeared a little bit from Bluegrass. Did you stay in touch in those days when he was with the Jim Kweskin Jeff?
Oh, yeah. Well, we actually, during that time, played a few gigs with Richard Green and Peter Rowan.
Dropouts.
And Fred, the Bluegrass Dropouts.
Yeah.
I have a tape of that, but it's very distorted and screwed
I
up.
have a recording of that too.
I know a friend of mine named Jim Rickard. He's the guy that designed the Ovation guitar.
Okay.
He made a good tape of one of those gigs, but I never got a copy of it. But anyhow, we became friends, like more than music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had other interests. You know, we both liked to smoke marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess and he took an interest in the tunes I was writing. In fact, you've heard that early Dawg.
Yes.
It's got the, recorded in my little living room in Greenwich Village. Bill, you probably know this, but he was he liked to play practical jokes.
Yes, I heard some.
Yeah.
But I'm
Did you?
very happy to hear some more. Well, I heard one about at some point he got a check from Earl Scruggs concerning the book, and he it was in an envelope and white paper, but with the heading of Fled and Scruggs Corporation or something like that.
Well,
and he used that, but maybe you should tell the
yeah.
story.
Well, my understanding, I don't know if it was. He told you it was with a check, because my understanding now. I don't know whether I got this from him or. I think he stole it.
No. He told me he got a check.
Well, he might have told you that.
And since they put it in
they might have sealed that envelope.
Put it in an envelope and then also another sheet of paper around it so you could see it was
stationary.
a check.
Yeah. He wrote a letter to me, or maybe he typed it. I wish I still had that. But offering me a job with Flat and Scruggs, and it had some red flags for me.
Yes.
For one thing, I was playing in a band called the New York Ramblers, or the New York City Ramblers, and we had to drop the city because the New Lost City Ramblers didn't like that. And we had an engagement at Gertie's Folk City, and usually played there for 2 weeks. And apparently some night, not unbeknownst to us, Earl Scruggs and his wife came in there and heard our band. And I think Louise Scruggs wrote a letter saying they enjoyed the,
Well, that was then Bill wrote.
No, that was another letter.
Okay.
See, before that. That was a real letter.
Okay.
And sometime after that, I get this letter in the mail on Flat and Scruggs stationery in a Flat and Scruggs envelope. I can't remember. I think it was typed. And offering me a job and saying, who knows, with enough practice, you could be as good as Everett Lilly or something like that. Which Everett Lilly is great, but he wasn't like. It sounded funny to me, and I immediately thought somehow Bill Keith is behind this. And a friend of mine, Peter Siegel, he called up Louise Scruggs and asked her if this was accurate, and she said no. So I just knew it was Bill Keith behind this, and I figured the best thing I could do would be nothing. not react to it at all, because I figured if I didn't say anything, Bill might get nervous that it didn't get delivered. Maybe it went back to them, you know. So that's what I did, and nothing. And you know who Steve Arkin is?
Yes.
Yeah. Bill, we were all friends. Bill sent Steve trying to find out, did you get any, you know, he was asking me about this letter, and I said, no, I don't know. No. And after a few months, I think Bill went crazy over it, you know, because, you know, you can't play a joke unless somebody is, you know, I didn't react, you know. So finally, I think I was playing a gig with Keith and Rooney. I think it was in Gertie's Folk City in the basement, and finally he said, you got that letter, you know. You tell me if you got that letter, you know. So I finally admitted it. But he would, you know, he had like, he would put like smoke devices on somebody's car, like when they started the engine, it would smoke. And he had these, he had this device that if he shook your hand, it would be a shock, you know. He did stuff like that, almost to the point of harming somebody, you know. But he loved to play practical jokes on people. And yeah, it's well, I'll turn it off. It's the TV. But yeah, we would. I mean, I played some gigs with Keith and Rooney. You know, they were roommates together. They lived in a house on, I think it was 95 Upland Road in Cambridge. And they used to go up there and play in the Club 47 or Gertie's. And yeah, we just saw a lot of each other whenever he was in New York or whenever I was there, you know. And we kept in touch until the very end.
Yeah.
Of course, did, you know, the Mule Skinner, and he played on my rounder. I played on his album. You know.
And then also at the same time there was this album of Tony Trischka, Banjoland.
Yeah, he came in. Yeah, that was at the end of my rounder session. He kind of hijacked. I had these guys playing for a week, and he came in right in the very end. We were really warmed up, and he, you know, he took advantage of me. I'll tell you an interesting story about Tony Trischka. I don't know if you are familiar. Peter Siegel and I formed a record company very briefly called Silver Bell Records, and we put out 3 45 RPM singles. And we put out a banjo tune that I wrote, New York Ramble, which became Doggy Mountain Breakdown. And then we put out, we recorded a session of Frank Wakefield with Chubby Wise on fiddle. I played guitar. Winnie Winston, you know, he played banjo, and Fred Wise played bass. And we put out a single from that record. Have you ever heard about that? No. Anyhow, I think it was called The Convict and the Child and I'll Never Make You Blue. Really great stuff with Frank and Chubby Wise, of course. And we took out a classified ad in Sing Out magazine, which said, "The balls are back in Bluegrass." And we got exactly 3 orders. And one of them, we thought the guy had a very funny name. Tony Trischka was one of those 3 orders. I mean, this was like 1965, something like that. maybe 64.
Yeah, that combination, Tony Rice, Bill Keith, yourself, and then depending what time the other musicians, that is my favorite bluegrass combination
Oh wow!
of all time. So yeah, I told you earlier I was so happy to find this video live in Switzerland, 1977. So when I found that, the hairs on my arms went up.
Have you heard? We put out a project called the Gasoline Brothers.
Yes.
Have you heard that?
One. Yeah.
Yeah, but some of that was recorded in with Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Was recorded in a Japanese radio station.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you played in Japan 1 year or more than 1 year with that?
Yeah, just
combination.
I had just I met Tony Rice at that Bill Keith session, and I had a band called the Great American Music Band, which was kind of the forerunner of my quintet, and because Richard Green and I, this was after Old and in the Way, he would get called for a gig and he'd hire me, and I would get called for a gig and I'd hire him, and we just put bands together for a few of these gigs, and we always hired a singer, a guitar player who could sing, and at some point we decided to, maybe we don't need a singer, maybe we can make a presentation that's instrumental, because I had written a lot of tune, not a lot, but I had a list of maybe 10 original tunes, and then we decided to do some Django Reinhardt, Stéphane Grappelli, some Duke Ellington, Moonlight Waltz by Bill Monroe. And it was successful. I mean, because what we didn't realize was a lot of singers. We got a lot of gigs opening for people like Maria Muldaur, because an artist doesn't want. They want the opening act to be as different from them as possible, And like through my career with the quintet, I always had, there's a band here that plays your stuff. They want to open for you. No, get me a magician, get me a juggler, So Richard and I formed this band. Well, actually, he had a gig at the Great American Music Hall, and he hired me and Vassar Clemens. It was going to be Richard Green and Vassar Clemens, two different bands, and there was a local young band that was going to back up Vassar, and there was a radio show that we were doing in the afternoon before the gig, a live broadcast, and Richard and I put together a band, and we were playing, and these kids come in with Vassar, and they said, Vassar belongs with you guys. We'll be the opening act. So that was the start. We called it the Great American Music Band. We had Vassar and Richard, and I played some of my, like Dawg's Rag, some of my, for the first time. And that was kind of the beginning of this. Then we decided to keep playing gigs like that instrumentally and call it the Great American Music Band. So we did that for about a year, and then Richard Green got offered a job with Loggins in Messina, the rock band, and he took the job, and I was left with a concept and a repertoire, because when we started doing that, I started writing tunes. They just because I had a vehicle for it.
Mm-hmm.
So then Bill Keith hired me and Tony Rice. I had never met Tony Rice. I never hardly heard of Tony Rice because I was kind of out of the bluegrass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was starting to do my own thing with this band, and I flew. That record was made in Washington D.C. or either Virginia or studio near Washington D.C. And I flew in the night before. And Bill had us all. He liked to save money on hotels and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He had us all staying with some friend of his, and he wakes me up at like 8 in the morning. You got to meet Tony Rice. I guess Tony Rice flew in the early in the morning, so he wakes me up and meet Tony Rice. And Tony was very interested in what I was doing. I had this tape of this Great American Music Band. That the same guy that recorded Old and in the Way, Owsley Stanley III, who made LSD, Owsley. He recorded this Great American Music Band at the boarding house, which is where Old and in the Way recordings were made. And I had put together this album or a demo of that band, and Tony was very interested in that, and I played it for him, and he flipped out over it, and he invited me to come back with him. He wanted to learn those tunes right away, and so I changed my flight and went back to Lexington, Kentucky with him, and spent 3 days. He was playing with J.D. Crowe at night, and during the day I showed him these tunes. And then I went back to California. By that time, I had found some young disciples, Todd Phillips and Darrell Anger, and the bass player from the Great American Music Band, Joe Carroll. We used to get together and work on my tunes. And Tony started calling me up, when's the gig? What gig, Anyhow, J.D. Crowe they were going to go to Japan to play some gigs, and there was a bluegrass club in San Francisco called Paul's Saloon, and they had a gig like the day before they were going to fly to Japan. And I told Tony, well, why don't you come out a few days ahead of that and we'll rehearse, So he did that, and then they played the gig in San Francisco, went to Japan, and while they were in Japan, one night I got a phone call at 3 a.m. It's Tony Rice. He said, I just gave JD my notice. I'm moving to California to play your music. I never asked him to do that. And so I figured, well, the greatest bluegrass guitar player wants to play my music. I've got to do this, So that's how that started. Looking back on it, I should have gotten Bill Keith in that band, Well, we did,
We did, yeah.
Then I got...
You went to Japan?
Shortly after that, this promoter from Japan, I was getting like fan mail from Japan. I guess bluegrass was popular there, and Old and in the Way, the band was no longer playing, but they put out, the Grateful Dead had a record label, and Jerry Garcia asked me to, we tried to make a studio album, Old and in the Way, but we didn't think it was that good. And there were some really good live tapes, and the band stopped. I think the last gig we played was early 1974. And in 1975, Jerry asked me if I'd produce a record for they had just started a record company, Round Records, would I put together a live album. So I did that, and what was I getting at here?
Well, Japan and
it became very popular, even though the band didn't exist anymore. And so in fact, I was living in Mill Valley, California, and one day I went to my post office box. It was a guy from Japan just camped out there, waiting for me to show up, and I brought him home with me. And anyhow, so Tony, he left. He gave JD his notice, and he and his wife moved into my basement in Mill Valley, and we rehearsed for like 3 months every day, this music. And this promoter from Japan got in touch with me, and he wanted to put Mule Skinner together. But he wanted Tony Rice, and Clarence White had passed away. And so I said, well, I actually have a new band playing this new music, and Tony Rice is in it, and I think that's what I was pushing, At the time, I felt bluegrass was regressive for me. I wanted to play this new music, And so I said, look, why don't you hire my quintet that I think you'll really like this music, and I'll hire Bill Keith and Richard Green, and we'll do one part bluegrass and one part Dawg music, And the promoter flew over just to hear my band at my house in the living room, and then he hired us, and that's what we did.
Yeah, there were live recordings of
and he recorded the whole. There was 5 concerts, and he recorded them all. He wanted to put out 2 records, I guess, and I made him give me all the tapes, and I flew back with these tapes, and then I decided none of it was good enough, or at least my stuff, and I never made those records until years later when we put out, I still haven't put out the early quintet from that tour.
For sure, I would be interested in anything where Bill plays the banjo.
Yeah. Well, I put out a whole project. We called that bluegrass part of it the Bluegrass Quintet. Yeah. And
the Bluegrass Quintet, and also the Bicentennial Bluegrass Band. It's another.
That I don't.
Another name of the combination with Tony Rice, Bill Keith, yourself.
I don't know about that. What somebody put that out?
No. But on live recordings, cassettes that went
Really?
around in Europe. One was called Bicentennial.
I never called it that.
So, because it was
Somebody
76, I guess. Yeah, it's a bicentennial of the United States.
I didn't know that.
Oh. Also.
I don't remember ever. I remember we played some gigs called the Bluegrass Dropouts.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
But that's before Tony Rice.
Yeah, right.
But with Tony Rice, so you played. So you went to Japan. Was it one tour or
Just
more
one?
than one?
Well, I did 3 tours in Japan, but only one with Bill.
Yeah, and also you went to Europe, to Switzerland, to France.
Yeah.
Other countries in.
We played the Cambridge Folk Festival.
Yeah.
And
I looked through their archives if I could find anything.
Oh yeah.
But their archives are terrible.
Really?
And someone told me the BBC was filming there. So
I think I may have a tape from Neon. The tape. I have a master tape.
Well, I have the images, so
I
could put them together because the video I will send it to you. The sound is not so good, but if you have a good sound
from that Neon.
Yeah.
Really.
The recording I was telling you about earlier. It has some songs. Till the end of the world rolls out is on there. I think the Caravan is on there. Don't Fall in Love. Don't Give Your Heart to Rambler.
Yeah. Well, the problem with that is, we pretty much did a certain bunch of songs, and we did them every. It's like this. There's not a lot of. Like every gig has got the same songs, probably. Maybe one or.
Yeah, but
I mean,
since Bill improvises all the time.
Yeah, I know, but most people, they've heard it already.
Yeah.
Even I think, but I think you'll like it. There's some cuts on these unexpurgated grass, like that Bill. Nobody ever heard Bill play. Like Fanny Hill, Doggy Mountain Breakdown, and then there's some. Let's see. I wonder what else he's on. Well, anyhow, I thought of putting together a project that me and Bill out of I think I've used up most of the stuff on.
Difficult to reuse the same tracks for.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I met Bill.
But I have a few things I could send you that just for your own.
Yeah.
There's he did NOLA in my apartment.
Okay.
Yeah. A few things like that.
I have a question. Since your music is a combination of a little bit of bluegrass, jazz, Latin, gypsy, things like that, and Bill also was very interested in jazz.
Yeah.
And had lots of knowledge, and so there's this jazzy part, and then another thing that Bill explained at the workshop when I was 15, 16 was the pentatonic scales. He liked that a lot. And in your playing there's a lot of pentatonic as well, and it's in fact my first mandolin lesson. I got it from Bill because he said David Grisman uses a lot of pentatonic scales, so I went to listen to the recording on something.
That's all I knew is 5 notes.
But it's great because you don't have to use the pinky too much, and you have the open strings, and
now you find my secret,
So I really love it. But I was wondering, has there been mutual influence? For example, the pentatonic scales or jazz knowledge. Did you guys?
Oh yeah, well I regard Bill as like a teacher. He knew more than I did, but I wrote these tunes and he liked them and would like Opus 57. He was the first banjo player to and probably the first banjo player to play a lot of fiddle tunes note for note. I mean, that was the big. Whether you call it the melodic, well, it is the melodic style.
Tunes,
I mean that's to me a big part of what Bill contributed is just playing the melody.
Yeah.
To anything, because Scruggs style is kind of an approach to playing the melody. I mean, it's
melody out of songs.
In songs, but in terms of fiddle tunes or where a violin would play Blackberry Blossom or something like that, banjo players they just play kind of Scruggs style. The chord changes, which, Bill really opened.
Yeah, so we were talking about pentatonic scales, melodic. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, of course. So there's he started playing these melodic things. And that's what I call the tip of the iceberg. The pure melodic style.
Well, I think that's, for me, that's a big tip.
Yes, of course, it was important at the time.
I mean, that's a very important thing in music, just to in all kinds of music. I mean, you could say that bluegrass, the approach to playing instrumentally is to play the melody. And in every kind of music, jazz, in one of the basic ideas in jazz is kind of to depart from the melody. In fact, Stéphane Grappelli used to tell me, I am the first jazz violinist because Joe Venuti played the melody. I was the first to abandon the melody. But to depart from something, you have to know what you're departing from. I think that's very foundational in all of music, is to, if you're going to play Stardust, know the tune, If you're going to play Will You Be Loving Another Man, know the tune, whatever it is, So to me, that's, Earl Scruggs played the melody up to a certain point. But, when the fiddle player was doing do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, Earl wasn't playing that. He was playing...
He played melody when it was a song, because when you sing, you don't sing 8 melodies.
Well, you can work. He developed this role, so arpeggiated patterns that were very syncopated and exciting, and worked in dun 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 dun, instead of just going dun 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 dun. He would do, but when it came to a melody like Blackberry Blossom, nobody was doing that, So to me, that's no matter how big the iceberg is, that's the part that broke the,
that was a visible part.
Shattered the bluegrass ceiling, now that there's also a vast knowledge of harmony and he was a knowledgeable musician, and understood a lot about chords and theory, and I was kind of an aborigine, but I paid attention, and I never studied much of anything formally, but I paid attention to what was going on, whether it was with Bill Keith or Red Allen or whoever I could learn from. So I, over time, was able to pick up this from here and that from there, but Bill, he kind of was a very logical, organized, I don't know where he learned all that stuff, but he knew it, and imparted, but it wasn't like most of what he would explain to me was a little over my head at the time, He had a very logical way of understanding music. And I just, had a knack for writing tunes. And it was a great relationship, but, a lot of it was, common interests outside of music, his sense of humor and smoking weed. You smoke weed?
No, I've never touched a cigarette.
Really, never. Really,
no.
Good for you. Good for
never
me,
drank
too.
coffee in my life.
Wow.
Well, I compensated with beer.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
Belgium
we got
is a
some
beer
of that,
country,
but you'll go to sleep.
yeah.
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 Uh,
Yeah, Bill liked his glass of wine as well.
maybe we could take you out to lunch a little later if you'd like.
Yeah,
you know.
sure. I'm not in a hurry to leave.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm keep very busy
Mhm.
working on projects, and I just had 2 concerts
Mhm.
that were recorded and videoed, and I have to, and I'm working on several more big projects, and I try to put one out a month, so there's always that next one, you know. I did one kind of concert in a place called Port Angeles, which is near here, about an hour and 10 minutes away from here, on my actual birthday, which Danny Barnes interviewed me, and I talked about 5 musicians, and anyhow, there's that, and then there's this big concert in Seattle that was like over 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Where my son Sam put together a band.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures on
online.
online. Yeah.
And so this company wanted to live stream it, but I wanted to mix the tapes and check it all out.
Sure
so, you know, it was just 3 days of non-stop playing, and you know, I didn't know whether my hands. I've got some pain problems in my hands. But I made it through, but I was very, you know, I probably felt like you do for several days after that. I'm still kind of recovering from it, you know.
A little while ago, I had for months, when I played tremolo, this would start hurting.
Oh yeah.
But it's
on
over.
Your right.
It's gone. Yeah.
My pain, you know, I've had a lot of problems through the years, mostly with my left hand. But in the past few years, I've developed a chronic pain in right where I hold the pick, right this finger, 24/7. It's always in pain. Yeah. So I have to. I mean, the best. I mean, unless I want to become a heroin addict or something like that, distraction is the best thing for me. And playing is somewhat distracting, right? You know, if I focus on something, I don't feel it that much. But, you know, I guess it's just something that I have to live with, you know. Get to be this age.
Yeah, well,
and some things.
Many people can't play at all anymore.
Yeah.
At 80, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm not quite there yet, but.
Stéphane Grappelli, I saw him at 85. He was still amazing.
I know. Yeah.
He couldn't walk. He
was sitting down. Yeah. Yeah. He used to say, "Someday my bow will drop." In fact. Yeah, that gig. You weren't at that gig in Brussels, were you? That I played with him.
No.
But, it was in a very fancy. The Grand Place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a jazz club there.
It was interesting. I mean, this isn't about Bill, but we were on tour with Stefan. I think it was a quartet that I had. Mike Marshall, Rob Wasserman, and Daryl.
Yeah, there's also a video of that quartet, commercial video.
Oh yeah, from Montreal.
Montreal or Montreux, baby.
Montreal. Really? I don't know about that.
Yeah, maybe I'm confusing.
That was.
I remember seeing Mike Marshall playing the tenor part of Cedar Hill, of the neck on the
There's
guitar.
a bunch of videos. There's some TV shows we did, but. In any case, this was, I'm thinking 81, maybe. Or yeah.
I was playing the banjo at the time, so if I had known.
And we were touring mostly in England, and in England, I think. And it was my band and Stéphane's band, and we had this one gig in Brussels, where my band was gonna back up Stéphane, play with Stéphane. He wasn't bringing his band. So, but we had been on tour, and my sound man, he had recorded Stéphane's show, and we got to Brussels the day before, and so I had the tape of Stéphane's show, and we tried to learn his exact show, because pretty much he'd play the same show every night, same tunes. So, and he was supposed to show up, in the afternoon and rehearse. Well, he didn't, He shows up like 10 minutes before the gig, and he says, "Have you got a list?" And I hand him the list. It's his show, Ah, very good. Of course it. But the first song on there was "Love for Sale," and he had all these 2/5, 2 minor 7, 5/7 changes. And not that I knew "Love for Sale" anyway. We had never played half these tunes, but we rehearsed them as best we could and tried to learn them, figure out the chords. And so we didn't rehearse with Stéphane at all. And Toots Thielmans is sitting, right in the front table there, right in front of me. And first tune is "Love for Sale," and Stéphane, he plays the head, melody, and then he gives me the solo. And in my mind, I'm totally lost, And if Stéphane wanted you to play more, he would wave his bow. And he waved his bow and made me play a second chorus. And I just, kill me, And, in Europe, the audiences are way more reserved than here. And they applauded it when I was ended my solo. And I said to myself, wow, jazz, I can be totally lost. I don't know what it sounded like, but they applauded for this, So I figured I found my idiom, But I was very embarrassed that apparently they heard it, See, the audience doesn't know what you're intending, So if you just act like it's okay, that's half the battle, But, that footage of Jordu, I just didn't play anything worth hearing from my point of view, But
I understand, and also Bill played mistakes on that recording.
My forte, I think, is writing tunes. I always had guys in my band that could improvise better than me. Or play solo. They all got the applause. Years of getting blown away by Tony Rice, Mark O'Connor, Mike Marshall. They were all great, but it was my team, so I was happy to have them do that.
Talking about Stéphane Grappelli, I once saw a program on French television. It was some candid camera. I shouldn't say that. He was interviewed by someone, and they were walking in the street in Paris. And at some point, there's a street musician, a busker, and looks like someone who sleeps in the street, and he plays the violin, and it's horrible. And they walk by, and the guy was, "Oh, Monsieur Grappelli, I recognize you. I'm a big fan, and here's a song especially for you. And it's terrible. And Grappelli said, "Okay, let's go, let's go." All right, so they move on, and the interview continues, and then at some point they go into this nice restaurant for dinner. The interviewer Grappelli, and it's still filmed. And while they're eating, suddenly there's this. The same guy comes in with his violin to busk a little bit in the restaurant.
Oh.
And he comes and starts. And Grappelli, ça suffit. This is enough. This is enough. I can't stand it. Wait, I know something else, guys. And he starts playing, and it sounds great.
It sounds great?
Yes, and it sounds great. And then he took off his false hair and beard. It was Yehudi Menuhin who was.
Oh, that's so funny.
Making a joke on the.
Oh, that's great.
So it was all set up.
Wow.
Right from the start.
You know, we had a gig in Vancouver, and we were staying. I think it was the Hilton Hotel. And I was looking in the newspaper, and they had an interview with Yehudi Menuhin, and he was in Vancouver, and it said, you know, something like from his suite in the Hilton Hotel. He was staying at the same hotel, and so I just called him up. Mm-hmm. I didn't know him. I knew he and Stéphane made some recordings together, and I just, called him up. He answered the phone, and I said, also played with Stéphane Grappelli, and maybe he heard of me. He met the whole band. We met him in the lobby. He came in, said hi. And the following week, we were playing the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco, and he was playing the Oakland Paramount. Mm-hmm. And he came to our gig after his gig.
Oh, great.
And Mark O'Connor it must have been 1980. Mm-hmm. He was my guitar player. And I don't know if you know, he had this white fiddle that he had all these violin players sign. He actually saw Yehudi Menuhin standing by the side of the stage. He walked off the stage in the middle of the show to get his autograph. I got really mad. But yeah, that's my Yehudi Menuhin story. That's funny. That's great, another practical joker. Yeah. But Stéphane, he once told me, he don't swing.
Stéphane Grappelli, was he classically trained, or?
I think he was somewhat, but he got his start. You know who Isadora Duncan is, right? You never heard of Isadora? She's there was a movie even called Isadora. She was a famous kind of modern woman who had a dance school in France. I think she was English, but I think her school was either in France or in England. And during World War I, Stéphane, I guess, was born in 1908. And he was one of her students. She had this famous kind of modern, at the time, innovative school for kids. And Stéphane was in her school. And she's a very famous person, Isadora Duncan. Okay. And his father, I guess, was in the war. His father was Italian. And I guess his mother was French. And I guess his father gave him a violin, he got a start playing piano for silent movies.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good job.
Where he just looked and improvised.
Yeah.
In fact, he was a great piano player.
I saw him play the piano on stage once.
Yeah. In fact, when we did the first tour together in 1979, almost everywhere we played had a grand piano. And towards the end of the show, he'd always play a solo back. And I recorded that whole tour, and I had all these solos. And he'd start every one just very impressionistic improvisation. And then he'd invariably end up in one of several routines where he'd play like T for Two or certain standard. He'd end up kind of with a formula, but the first, 5 or 6 minutes would just be improvisation. I put out a collection of that called Piano Explorations. Yeah, he was an amazing musician, but I don't know how, he just was very gifted. I don't know how extensive he studied violin, but
because then he teamed up with his Django gypsies.
Yeah,
and
they both were in an orchestra that was playing in this big hotel, and during the intermission, Stéphane explained that they would pretend to be Eddie Lang and Joe Venuti, just make up these little tunes backstage, and that's how that started.
There's another violin player you played with, Svend Asmussen.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were in Copenhagen playing the Montmartre Jazz Club, world famous, and we came in the night before, and I think Johnny Griffin and there's another sax player that he used to play with. They were playing. We saw that, and then so we're playing our gig there, and I noticed this very well-dressed gentleman sitting at a table by himself, and I thought it was like a newspaper reporter, and I didn't recognize him. But in the break between sets, he comes backstage and introduces himself, Svend Asmussen, and I said, "Wow, you're the reason I look under A in the jazz section," because I was a big fan of his. I just didn't put it together that he would come, and that's how we met.
Okay.
And he told me he really liked the music I wrote for King of the Gypsies, and he was friends with Stéphane. And I said, well, if you ever want to come to the United States, and we'd be happy to be your band, and he did the next year. And we became good friends.
He became 104 or something?
102.
102.
Yeah. He used to come and spend his winters in Florida, in I think Sarasota, Florida. Tracy and I went, and we stayed with him, and he was married for like 70 some odd years, and his wife passed away, and he kind of quit playing, and he got depressed, and I think around 2001, my daughter Jillian made a film about Jerry Garcia and me called Grateful Dawg, and it was in the theaters, and they wanted me to come to the premiere in London with my daughter, and I made him pay for a trip to Copenhagen, and we visited Sven, and I tried to talk him into playing again, and which he ultimately did. And he was a great guy. And he used to go he used to go play with Django and Stéphane, but he told me every time he did that, Django loved his fiddle, and Django would play the fiddle and Sven would play guitar.
All right.
Apparently Django, I said, what did he sound like? He said,
2 fingers.
He said he sounded just like Steph.
Okay.
Yeah.
With 2 fingers only.
Yeah. I don't,
Oh.
but I remember certain ways that Stéphane Grappelli fingered things, and every once in a while I find myself doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He really used these 2 fingers a lot. He'd shift a lot. Because I had a great experience of standing next to him, and on all these gigs, and it was like watching a miracle.
Yes, of course. Is there anything about Bill that we want to add to this video?
Well, he made. Did you ever hear the story about him meeting Bobby
Thompson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Steve Arkin, I think.
Yeah, he drove with the.
Yeah.
Or
I think there's a tape. There's a tape of that.
Yeah, it's online even.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. I met Steve Arkin.
Oh, did you?
Some years ago, yeah. I was after visiting Claire after Bill died. But Steve Arkin was there.
He was in Massachusetts, I guess. Was he in Massachusetts when you visited?
No, he was in
New York, Brooklyn,
New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey, yeah. Yeah, we were very good friends in the 60s, and kind of lost contact a lot. When I moved to California, that's a long way from, I was in California for 45 years. So, but I'd always see Bill Keith at what do they call it? That one in New York State.
Gray Fox?
Yeah, Winterhawk or Gray Fox, yeah. He had a teepee.
Yeah, something there.
Yeah. And I think he visited, he came to California, I think he maybe visited us in, I lived in Petaluma for about, 14 years. I think Petaluma, California. I think he visited us once there. Yeah, I think the Kweskin Jug Band, they had some kind of reunion gig. Then I went down to, he wanted to hire me to be in that band, but I had some conflicts, but I went to one of the gigs. And, that may be the last time we played together on stage, at least. Bill.
There's also a video that showed up some months ago at an IBMA thing where Tony Rice and Bill Keith are in a room together with a few other people and jamming.
Wow.
I can send you the link. And it's funny to see how Tony Rice reacts after Bill played this. Oh, did you see that? Did you see that?
Have you heard, or there's have you heard the Rounder album band at Grass Valley?
Yeah, that's 88, 89?
89.
Yeah.
There's a video of that.
Ah.
Yeah, I think I can, I might have that on, or I could burn it for you on a DVD.
Yeah, or if you can send with WeTransfer if it's not too big.
Yeah, we could try that. Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, Bill played great on that. Thing about Bill is, in some situation, in my opinion, some situation he was very even. I mean, he always played great, but certain instances he would get on fire.
Yeah.
It's
true.
A lot of times he would just, and I think, I'm not bragging, but I'm one of them guys, and Tony Rice, when he was around us, that was more likely to happen than some other situations. and Bill Monroe too. He, you know, and that's to me. Well, you're probably talking when you talk about the other part of the iceberg. What are you referring to his take on Earl Scruggs style, or?
Well, what he plays in songs. For example, on your album, On and On, where he combines Scruggs style with some melodic, some chromatic, lots of bounce in the right hand, the use of a ninth chord to give a bluegrass song, a 3-chord bluegrass song, more color. Those things. That's what I really enjoy in his style. And I play these things, and I've never met anyone else playing them. So I thought I should explain this to the rest of the world, and hopefully someone will pick it up.
It's too bad.
Before I forget, I also have a recording, and the guy who gave it to me made me promise not to not to make it public. But I have a recording of your first rehearsal with Bill and Tony Rice in the kitchen of Liz Meyer.
Oh, okay. Well, that's where I played Tony that tape. Yeah. Liz Meyer. Yeah.
Look, Liz Meyer, she was married with Peter Groenveld in Holland. Do you know Peter?
I think maybe.
So Liz Meyer, she moved to Holland and married a Dutch guy who was a musician, mandolin player, but also he started his record company called Strictly Country Records, and made lots of live recordings.
And you have who's on that tape?
Just the three of you.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it sound good?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Oh.
And you can hear the first try of Tony Rice on Caravan, for example.
Oh wow.
Where he doesn't know the chords yet. I think you were explaining him the chords.
The blind leading the blind.
But it's amazing. The first solo he does there, it's already 80% of what he put on the album.
Yeah.
It's
well, Tony, you know, he was very he had his licks. He had, you know, and I mean, I heard Tony Rice pretty much every day for 4 years, and you know, he played a lot of the same stuff. I mean, we all do. We all,
of course.
You know, that's how you recognize Charlie Parker, or else, you know, you can tell they're playing the same stuff. You know, I mean, it's hard to be totally different all the time. You know,
I preferred much more the way Tony Rice played in the late 70s, early 80s than what he did after. I think it sounded more creative.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, he was waiting for something to open him up, you know. I think really he wanted to play jazz, because when I went with him to Kentucky, he was listening to Oscar Peterson, John Coltrane. That's all he wanted to listen to. And, you know, he wanted to do that, you know. But and my, you know, the tunes I was writing, and what became my quintet was, you know, kind of incorporated a lot of that. There was room for that in it, and it wasn't. I think he was bored. I think we all got bored with bluegrass.
Yeah.
I mean, we loved it, but it's something, you know, if you have something inside that is, you know, it's going to come out. I could have kept Olden in the Way going for decades and made a lot of money. But I realized, well, it's just, I didn't see it as being all that innovative, which it actually was relative to you know, bluegrass, of standard, playing the bluegrass standards, which we did some of, but, you know, people like Bill Keith and Tony Rice and Richard Green and then a lot of Sam Bush, myself, we were looking to stretch, and we did.
Yes,
we did. And, you know, but I mean, Bill was a big influence in, you know, just opening me up to, you know, like a piece like Caravan, you know, I would have, you know, and he had his own way of interpreting those tunes, and, you know, it's just, he revolutionized bluegrass banjo playing. He took it to a different place. I mean, Bobby Thompson had some of those techniques, and probably, I mean, he played, what did he play? Lady of Spain, or that was Alan Shelton. All these guys, Jesse McReynolds, you know, he was another.
Yeah.
He really, you know, Jesse and I did some recording 10 or 12 years ago, about 4 or 5 sessions, which I'm about getting ready to release. And Jesse, you know, he always wanted to push the boundaries, you know, but his brother was very conservative, you know. But they're, you know, every generation, you know, if you have your own voice, you have to find, you know, you have to do something different. I mean, you don't have to, but certain people end up doing that.
Yeah,
and other people preserve.
Yes.
Which it's all valid, you know.
I think so too.
You know, especially, I mean, there was a point I just wanted to play like Bill Monroe.
Yeah.
I went through phases. Frank Wakefield and then Bill Monroe, and it's like, how would Bill Monroe play this song, you know? And at a certain point, I'd say, why am I doing this? You know, Bill Monroe is already here, you know? And of course now he's not here, so people like Mike Compton, you know, I was copying Bill Monroe from an earlier time than Mike Compton picked up on his later stuff. And fortunately for me, my own music started to emerge out of that, and I realized that was more suited to me than copying Bill Monroe, even though I learned those lessons, and every time I played bluegrass, I would be more traditional than what I was doing. In fact, when I started my band, I had in my contract, you can't use the word bluegrass, because I didn't think, first of all, it was no vocals. Second of all, a lot of that stuff really wasn't bluegrass.
No, that's true.
And I didn't want people to think they were going to come hear bluegrass and then be disappointed.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bill, he was an amazing guy, and he left, you know, I mean, where would Bella Fleck be without Bill Keith? I mean, he kind of pointed for all those guys. I mean, Bella is, you know, technically, you know, probably the top of the heap, you know, but...
And also, you know, Jens Kruger?
Yeah, he's a must. He's from Holland, right?
No,
Well, he lives in the United States now.
He was born in Germany and grew up in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
And then they moved to North Carolina 20 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
And, I saw him a year or two ago in Germany, and he was playing with the trio plus a string quartet.
Wow.
And they played 2 hours non-stop.
Wow.
All compositions of Vince.
Wow.
The classical quartet, they were reading from their tablets.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, you know, when I watch a band or a banjo player that I like, I always see what could I learn from this, pick up something.
Yeah.
After half a minute, I thought, okay, think differently, just enjoy the music. It was so beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And technically, it was, you know, like, for example, when I play Nola on the banjo, that's one of the most difficult things I try to do.
Wow.
Well, everything he played was more complicated than that.
Wow.
Non-repetitive, 2 hours non-stop, and he didn't have a sheet. It was all no improvisations. It was all arrangements.
Wow.
He's incredible.
But can you remember any of it?
Me? No. It was. I thought, okay, just listen and enjoy the beautiful music.
Yeah. See, I'm stuck here with I like simple melodies that you can remember.
Yeah, and harmonize them.
Maybe that's because that's all I can do, but I think, you know, a lot of young musicians, they're always trying to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. You know, they're always, I do original music. Well, first of all, there's no such thing as original music. You know.
But still, people play and enjoy listening to Bach music.
Yeah, no, they do. Yeah, I do too. I you know, but a lot, you know. Hey, there's room for it all.
Yes.
You know, but a lot of musicians have great facility, and they just go with that. They, you know, to me. A lot, I'm not saying Jens or anybody in specific, but a lot of music that I've heard through the years is, and I'm guilty of it to a certain extent myself, is what the point of it is look what I can do. It's like acrobats, you know, but I don't know if it really touches the heart that much.
It's long. I think music is entertainment, and so if it's entertaining,
to me, then it's got to be saying something. Mm-hmm. No, music, art, anything, you know, it's got to have a message that, or for me, you know, that's what, you know, like, you know, whether there's certain pieces of music, certain classical pieces of music, certain musicians that always, like Ben Webster is a sax player. He played with Duke Ellington. He has that really breathy sound, but he always gets to me. Everything he plays, you know. There are a lot of Django Reinhardt, you know, he's the prime example of that, because he had it all. He had all that technique, but somehow he had all that expression. It's like very rare to find somebody with that much technique that still is saying something. Except look what I can do. I mean, to me, that's not saying anything. That's something else. I don't know what it is, but it's not that. And, you know, I gravitate to, I'd rather hear Ray Charles sing than probably 85% of everything else. Or somebody like that, you know. Otis Redding, Ralph's. I mean, there's certain, the emotional content is very important to me. You know?
Yeah, but what touches one person
that's
touch
true.
Someone else.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like some people like spaghetti and meatballs. Some people like,
Pizza.
you know, foie de gras. I don't know. But if you eat if you eat spaghetti and meatballs every day, every meal, you'll get sick of it.
Yes.
So I
if you only drink water, you'll die as well. Huh?
yeah,
It's very healthy.
I have 30,003 songs on here, and I could put it on shuffle.
Yeah.
And you know, everything from Mozart to the Stanley Brothers, and I'm sure Bill Keith is in there too. But it's all good.